Second game syndrome strikes again for the Three Lions, but England fans, you mustn't worry about the 0-0 draw to Ghana. It taught us loads about this England squad and how they can improve for the rest of the tournament. There were many pessimists from the first game, but surely they would have rathered another 4-2 thriller over a goalless 90 minutes of football. Thomas Tuchel's side were expected to approach the game in similar fashion to the Croatia win. They would transition at speed, release wingers quickly and bait the press. Ghana were expected to set up in a 3-4-2-1 with the aim of playing into their two number 10s and getting them in 1v1 situations. The pre-match analysis also told us that they would block centrally and would be very open if they pressed. So why did the game unfold in the way it did? Let's take a look at the tactics board and find out. Okay, so first things first, England really did struggle with the low block, but they got the most success when they played these quick switches out wide. So it happened once again similar to the Croatia game, a lot more down the right flank than the left, but Gordon was far more involved this game than the last. So the aim was to get Noni Madueke and Anthony Gordon into these 1v1 situations, okay? And when England did this quickly, that's when they created their best chances, because what Ghana did, because they were so defensive, is that they often doubled up, which we'll get onto later. But when England managed to create these quick switches, it gave Madueke and Gordon the opportunity to actually have a go at their defender one-on-one and then go and create something. Another key feature was underlapping runs, and again this happened a lot more, especially on that left-hand side where Jed Spence started over Nico O'Reilly. So as you can see here, Madueke is going to play that pass across, Reece James making the run, and then he would try and pull it back, cut across goal, for then a simple shot. It didn't quite happen because Ghana kept snuffing out the danger, but these runs were really key. And the reason for that is because Ghana was so compact, there was just far more space out wide, and it happened on the opposite side as well. So here you can see it on the left-hand side, Jed Spence is making that run down here, Anthony Gordon is going to play that pass as well. The only issue, and I'll put it along one more frame, but the only issue was that these passes weren't being followed up. They were almost being admired by Madueke and Gordon rather than making the pass and getting involved. So you can see here that Jed Spence has made that run. He's going to try and cut it across goal. It gets snuffed out and England get a corner. But Anthony Gordon shouldn't still be standing where he made the pass. He should be following that up with runs into the box. We know Harry Kane's going to sit because that's what he does. So when you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ghana players in the box, 1, 2, 3, 4 England players in the box, 2 on the outside, Gordon needs to be making that run into the box to go and be another option. If he makes this run into the space just here, because Declan Rice continued this run here, he's then potentially got space there to take a shot off, but there was almost like that admiration of your own pass and not following up and getting it into the right areas to actually progress the move even further. The reason that Jed Spence had to take a corner is because there was no backwards cut option, so he had to cut across. He had to go this way rather than potentially play it back here because Declan Rice continued his run forward. But if Gordon played his pass and then continued into the box, he'd have been just in that square there to then take a touch and go for the far corner. Naturally, ahead of kick-off, the focus was on the 2 changes that Tuchel made. So it was Jed Spence coming in for O'Reilly and Mark Gahey coming in for John Stones. Now, the reason for this, I believe, is because Tuchel wanted more pace at the back. It was well known that Ghana were potentially going to be successful via playing quickly down the flanks and counter-attacking. And obviously Jed Spence and Mark Gahey are quicker players. You can see Jed Spence just here. The ball's got ahead of Anthony Gordon. Luckily, Jed Spence comes across and covers. A similar thing with the next image with Mark Gahey here. And again, it's not whether these players want to do it. Of course, John Stones and Nico O'Reilly want to track back and they want to make a last-ditch tackle. It's not a laziness thing. It's can they do it? Do they have the pace to beat these Ghanaian forwards for speed? So again, ball breaks here, coming forward, but Gahey manages to track back as well and snuff out any danger. A lot of the time it wasn't putting a challenge in, but it was getting there quickly enough to actually put their opponent off the shot. Another issue going forward for England was what felt like a lot of hesitancy They were nowhere near as direct as they were against Croatia, playing it safe. And here, for example, Anthony Gordon on the edge of the box. His first touch isn't great, but there's still the option to chop the ball across your body and then take it on your left foot. Again, a lack of confidence perhaps. So he lays it off to Jude Bellingham, who then lays it off to Noni Madueke, who then takes the shot. Actually, if they were just a bit more on it and a bit more confident and just wanted to grab the game by the scruff of its neck, these players would just be getting the ball and getting their shots off. But there was a real hesitancy and a lot of players that seemed unsure when it came to getting in and around that 18-yard box. So, the question was, can Gordon cut in here and then get a shot off? The answer might be no, but there was never the sort of confidence to go ahead and try that kind of stuff. It was like they wanted to walk it in. But a lot of credit does have to go to Ghana, who outstanded superbly. I don't think they're getting enough plaudits. Obviously, Cape Verde against Spain defended outstandingly. Iran against Belgium really held their own. Ghana, another underdog that put on a really, really impressive defensive display. But because they were facing England, they're not getting the plaudits, but they really do deserve it. So on paper, Ghana set up with a back four, but as the game progressed, you could see it sort of adapt into a back five, sometimes even a back six. And the reason for that is because they knew that England were going to try and attack down the flanks. So they had a back five, and they'd often have a midfielder come across and join. And what that did is it meant that Noni Madueke went from this probably favourable 1v1 situation to now a 1v2, where he's got to beat two players. Yes, we've got O'Reilly coming in to provide an option, but again, that is exactly what Ghana want. They want it played back into the middle because they are so compact centrally. And this is where Thomas Tuchel was getting irate, because he didn't want Nico O'Reilly dropping into that space. He wanted him making these more aggressive runs forward. But as I said, because there was this hesitancy and for some reason this urge to play safely, it very often did go back to O'Reilly, back into the centre, switch to the other side, do the same, back into the middle, and it was too safe. Again, we'll show it on the other wing, Bukayo Saka just here with the ball, and whereas in the first half you'd have Reece James making these runs towards the byline to go and support, he's sitting back, waiting for Saka to play it back, that he can play back into the middle. It was really, just really scared almost. Like, as the game went on, it was like, well, we're not getting through, so just let's not lose. It was bizarre, and I can understand Tuchel's frustrations on the sideline because that's not how he wants them to play. And again, from a Ghana perspective, plenty of bodies in the box and two defenders here doubling up on Saka. And as the match entered its latter stages, Ghana dropped off even more, adapting into a 4-5-1. You can see four of the back five there, and then just out of frame is the right wing back, four across the middle, and one forward leading the press, but again, not really a press, it was just a hassle. One really impressive thing from Ghana's perspective is that they weren't getting baited into the press at all. One of their weaknesses in the pre-match analysis was that they are very open once they press, and perhaps they knew that, accepted that that's a weakness of theirs, so they just sat off and asked England to come to them. They know they can defend really solidly, so they just didn't allow themselves to get drawn in and stayed really, really organised. A big issue from an England perspective though was the lack of runs beyond. This image doesn't quite illustrate it, but in the Croatia game, plenty of runs being made beyond came when Kane dropped deep, but in this game, it didn't happen as much. So if we take a look at the Croatia game first, as you can see, Harry Kane's dropped, so Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham have made runs beyond, even Elliot Anderson here, all making the runs beyond in order to ensure there's still bodies in the box when Noni Madueke plays across him. Okay, Harry Kane's dropped, and he almost wants to become that playmaker, which is fine. Everyone knows that's what he does. And what was really impressive was to see players actually going beyond him, so there still was attacking options. The weird thing was in the Ghana game is that just didn't happen. So this is the screen grab from Ghana. Harry Kane's here, Declan Rice is here, Jude Bellingham's there. Yes, Harry Kane's not dropping, but why isn't he? Why did that happen less? Because actually if he dropped, maybe that could have pulled someone out, and if they weren't getting baited into the press like we said they weren't, then he could have picked the ball up, free in the middle of the park here, and then these runs could have been made beyond by Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice, but they weren't being made at all. So Harry Kane's not on the last defender, and actually no one is. Even Anthony Gordon here, you can see his body language is getting ready to drop in. So as a result of that, if we just get rid of these lines, these players that in the Croatia game were really far apart. You could see it like this. You had Harry Kane at the bottom here, and then Bellingham, Rice, and it was this big long triangle. Whereas in the Ghana game, they're all quite close together. There's 3 Ghanaian players there ready to pounce whenever the ball is played into them, and nobody is coming to get the ball off Gahey, apart from seemingly Anthony Gordon. But then again, he's supposed to be one of those players that are running beyond. But there was a bit of fear and a bit of hesitancy to do what they normally do under Tuchel, and what they did really, really well against Croatia. If you've played a team like Croatia, who, no disrespect to Ghana, but are on paper a better side, you've played them, you've carried out certain patterns of play that have worked really well. So why against your next opponent do you not do it? Why don't you replicate that same thing? Every opponent is different, and I accept that. But if you've carried out a certain pattern and it's clear that it's working, it's clear that it's causing defences problems, why aren't you doing it? The reason they struggled to find space, not only because Ghana was so compact, but because they weren't stretching the pitch enough. Far too close together and not asking enough questions. Overall, plenty of room for improvement, but certainly not same old England. That wasn't how Tuchel wanted to approach things. That game was merely an indicator of what must change against sides who defend in a low block. Looking ahead to the rest of the tournament, England could face this out-of-possession approach again. Firstly, against Panama tomorrow night. Panama played in a 5-4-1 against Croatia and were comfortable defending in a centrally structured low block. And as it stands, England will face this approach several times on their potential route to the World Cup final. The round of 32 is almost certain to change, but currently they'll face Ecuador, who only conceded 5 during the qualifiers and went 19 games unbeaten ahead of the World Cup. After that would be Mexico, who are yet to concede in the tournament and have conceded an XG of just 1.51 across the opening 3 matches. In the quarters, England would face Brazil, who are set up structurally deep in order to counter its speed. A semi-final against Argentina would see England face a mid-block instead, but with plenty of counter-pressing. Finally, a World Cup final against France would see an even more effective version of Brazil's style. France prioritise structure over pressing and will sit off and then counter. So overall, the Ghana game was a clear message of what needs to improve, and there's no option but to adjust due to England's projected knockout opponents.